Paris, 1898. A man walks into a hospital and tells the doctor something impossible. He says he is dead. Not sick, not dying, already dead. His heart still beats. His lungs still fill with air, but he insists none of it is real. He says his body is a corpse walking through someone else's dream. The doctor writes down a name for what he's witnessing. Cotard's Delusion. It won't be the last time this happens. Fast forward to 1938. A German soldier returns from war and stops recognizing his own reflection. He looks in the mirror and sees a stranger wearing his face. He can name every object in the room. He can recite his own birthday, but he cannot feel that any of it belongs to him. Doctors call this depersonalization, and it is far more common than anyone wants to admit. Have you ever felt like you were watching your own life instead of living it? A strange calm, a sense of distance, like your hands aren't quite your hands. For most people, it lasts a few seconds. A wave of déjà vu, a moment of shock, but for some, it never stops. Researchers estimate that up to 75% of people will experience depersonalization at least once in their lives. Most forget about it within minutes. But roughly 1 to 2% of the population develops something chronic, a permanent fog between themselves and their own existence. It has a name now: depersonalization derealization disorder. And it can last for years. Dr. Daphne Simeon, a psychiatrist at Mount Sinai who has studied this condition for over 2 decades, describes patients who feel like they are trapped behind glass. They can see their own life. They can hear their own voice, but they cannot feel connected to any of it. One of her patients described brushing his teeth and feeling like he was watching a stranger do it through a security camera. So, what is actually happening inside a brain that detaches from itself? Neuroscientists have found something remarkable using fMRI scans. In people experiencing depersonalization, the brain's emotional centers go quiet. The amygdala, which normally lights up during moments of stress or danger, goes strangely silent. It's as if the brain hits an emergency shutoff switch. Emotion gets muted so completely that reality itself starts to feel fake. This isn't a malfunction, it's a defense mechanism. Under extreme stress, trauma, or even panic attacks, the brain can flood itself with numbness on purpose. It disconnects you from your own feelings to protect you from being overwhelmed by them. The tragic irony is that the same system built to protect you can trap you instead. Consider the case that gives this condition its stranger cousin, Cotard's Delusion. Patients with Cotard's don't just feel disconnected. They become convinced they are actually dead. In 1880, French neurologist Jules Cotard first described a woman who believed she had no brain, no nerves, no blood. She believed she could not die again because she was already gone. Some patients with Cotard's have starved themselves, convinced that a corpse doesn't need to eat. What does it say about the human mind that it can override its own most basic instincts? That it can insist you're dead while your heart is still pounding proof otherwise? Modern brain imaging suggests Cotard's may come from a catastrophic disconnect between the brain's facial recognition system and its emotional response system. When you look at a loved one's face, your brain should generate warmth, familiarity, emotional resonance. In Cotard's patients, that emotional signal disappears completely. The brain sees the face, but feels nothing. And so it invents the only explanation that fits the blank feeling, I must not be real. This same disconnect shows up in a much stranger condition called Capgras Delusion, where patients recognize a family member's face perfectly, but insist that person has been replaced by an imposter. Same face. Missing emotional connection. Different but related conclusion. Are our identities really built on logic? Or are they built on feeling, with logic just filling in the story afterward? This is the unsettling part. Your sense of being real, of being you, isn't guaranteed by your brain. It's generated by it. Every second, your mind is quietly producing the feeling of ownership over your own body, your memories, your emotions. Most of the time, this process is invisible, automatic. You never even notice it's happening until it stops. Some researchers now believe mild depersonalization exists on a spectrum, with anxiety and dissociation, meaning nearly everyone touches this experience at some point. A car accident, extreme grief, sleep deprivation. Even scuba diving and high-altitude climbing have triggered temporary depersonalization in otherwise healthy people, according to case studies published in the Journal of Trauma and Dissociation. Treatment exists. Therapies like grounding techniques, EMDR, and certain SSRIs have helped many patients reconnect with their own sense of reality. But for some, the fog never fully lifts. They live permanently, one step removed from their own existence, present in body, absent in feeling. So, the next time you catch your reflection and it looks, just for a moment, unfamiliar, the next time your own voice sounds like it belongs to someone else, remember this. You are not looking at a glitch in your identity. You are looking at the machinery underneath it. The quiet, constant work your brain does every single second to convince you that you are real. And somewhere, in a hospital not unlike the one in Paris, in 1898, someone is sitting across from a doctor right now, insisting they no longer exist, their heart beating loud enough to prove them wrong. And still, they don't believe it. Maybe the strangest part isn't that the mind can lose its grip on reality. Maybe it's that the rest of us are only one bad day away from finding out exactly how thin that grip really is.